and I will call this meeting to order. And thank you everyone for being here tonight. It's summer. We're all doing all we can to get our endorsed candidates across the finish line. I'm sure you're all volunteering, and I just want to say thank you to everyone here. It means a lot to come together as a party and to do it for the right reasons, supporting our candidates throughout this primary. I will call up Hunter Brown, who will do an acknowledgement of our tribal lands.
Thank you. Niti Yagaledu. On behalf of the King County Democrats, I acknowledge the land on which we stand today as the traditional home of the Coast Salish and Duwamish tribes and the traditional home of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, Snoqualmie, and Muckleshoot nations. Since time immemorial, they
Is it just me or?
So Hunter, I think this isn't I think we're losing your connection.
We thank them as the original caretakers of our state's lands and water, and for their stewardship. We recognize their invaluable contributions to our state.
I think we're having a bad connection, Hunter. Thank you so much.
History, economy, and culture. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self.
Thank you, Hunter. We had a bit of a connection. However, thank you. As we acknowledge the tribal lands that we are on, I just appreciate that. Moving on to our agenda. Next is our consent agenda, which is to adopt the June minutes and also adopt tonight's agenda. Holly Hill, I see your hand raised.
Hi, I would like to motion to add an endorsement of Erica Conway to the agenda.
I think we need a motion to approve, maybe, right? And then amend.
And I thought that was on the agenda. So let's see. James, do we do an approval and then the amend and then add to it? Sorry.
We can if you'd like. It's also not strictly necessary. You can leave time for an open floor for endorsement motions during the endorsement section if you prefer.
So yeah, that I have endorsement motions on here. So Holly, in my agenda that probably wasn't very clearly laid out, and I apologize. You were to be called first for the endorsement of Erica Conway.
Thank you.
Lisa Weber.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry. I am on my phone. I could not get you on my computer at all. And that will work for me. I'll just do that during the open floor.
Perfect. Thank you. Yay. Okay.
Yeah. Someone can. Yeah. Thanks.
Chair, I move that we adopt the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Chris Franco.
Are there any objections to adopting the consent agenda? Are there any objections? Last call. Any objections? The consent agenda is adopted. Thank you very much. Moving on to our first guest speaker, we have invited Susanna Johnson, who is a candidate running for sheriff in Snohomish County. This is our neighbor. It is an important race, and it's really valuable for the executive board of King County Democrats, in my opinion, to also go back to our legislative districts, hear from Susanna Johnson, and really describe what's at stake in this race. And I will now turn it over to you, Susanna Johnson. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing with us tonight. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Susanna Johnson. I am running for Snohomish County Sheriff. Briefly, I'm a 33-year law enforcement veteran. I worked 30 years at the sheriff's office. I worked my way through the ranks there, so I'm very familiar with that agency, from deputy and canine handler, detective, sergeant to lieutenant captain. Ultimately, I was the number 3 at the sheriff's office overall and ran that organization. Currently, I'm the deputy chief of police at the Bothell Police Department. More importantly, the reason I'm running is we're having certainly some real struggles up in Snohomish County. After the murder of George Floyd, there were some legislative changes, as we're all aware, with regard to accountability. And there's been tremendous pushback by the current sheriff, where literally it's you can have accountability or public safety, and we know that's not the case. And so there's a lot of things we should be doing to keep our community safer, but the rhetoric, unfortunately, is that because of accountability, we can't keep basic safety measures out in our community. For me personally, having been at the sheriff's office for a long time, public trust is the number 1 issue. If you take any time and look at the current sheriff up there, or if you've been following what's going on, there was immediately a rehire of 3 deputies when he came into office 3 years ago. Those are 3 that were fired for dishonesty, for lying on affidavits and search warrants. And a 3rd one was rehired after he was separated for shooting and killing an unarmed person, and then not being forthcoming on the information. All really significant things. And this is, I'm not trying to give you necessarily just the bad parts of it, but it's really important for you to know why I'm compelled into this race. The 3rd piece is that's just not acceptable in our community is the bias policing. There was literally a Proud Boy hired by the sheriff's office last year that the sheriff intended to keep, although he said initially he didn't realize he had hired him, but decided to keep him in the uniform. Ultimately, a lot of community outcry and him having a challenger persuaded him to let him go on probation. So now the good pieces is I do have the experience, I have the support, and I have all of the credentials to recruit good people, to get the sheriff's office back up to professional standards. They've lost accreditation under the current sheriff. I have the ability to do all those things. The reason I'm here tonight is besides the fact that you're neighbors to the south, and I was a longtime King County resident, went to Ingram High School and Kenmore for 30 years, is that this affects our region. As of last week, my opponent brought in an extremist from Arizona, extremist sheriff, if you will, that is looking to pull in outside monies that are along the lines of his philosophies for a constitutional sheriff. And that does not support the values of Washington State. And I think it's really important we follow the laws that are in place now and not allow outside interests to try to shape our election. It's too important, and we need to get everybody in lockstep with all the great work that was done in Olympia. So I'll wrap this up. I only know I have just a couple minutes, but things that you could do if you're so inclined to help us with this race. First of all, it's a name identification. So we're just trying to get my name out there. And if you go to my website, I'll try to leave a link behind if I'm able to post to the chat. You'll see I have all 5 former county sheriffs endorsing me and a litany of Labor Council Democrats across the board, and over 70 former and current mayors. Really, really honored for all the groundswell. And we've been out doorbelling since February, so we're working hard. We would love help with phone banking. That's something folks could do from King County. If you could leverage your LDs, that's great. We're doing that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we would accept any help. And of course, if you're so inclined to send people to the website, any donations help. But mainly just get the word out that the current sheriff in Snohomish County has an opponent. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Susanna, would you stay with us just in case anyone has a couple questions? Are you available to stay a couple minutes? I want to open it up.
Of course.
Does anybody on our e-board have a question for candidate Susanna Johnson for sheriff? Joseph Todd.
Suzanne, I just wanted to commend you for running for office and for your stance on the police reforms that we're so significantly impacting the community at the state level. I just really appreciate your stance, and thank you for running.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. James Barker.
Hey, good to see you. So I know I'm not alone among people in this meeting and having family and close friends up in Snowco. What's the best way to get in touch with your campaign if we want to help host an event or fundraise or doorbell or anything else that we can help out with?
Thank you so much. And I appreciate the times we've got to speak in the past. I can put my personal phone number in the chat if I'm able to do that, if I have the ability to do that, and also put a link into the website. But that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me, and would appreciate the help. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Susanna,
Anyone else?
you're a co-host, so you should be able to drop things in the chat when you're done answering questions.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Are there
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions, or I'll open it for statements of support, which Susanna Johnson, thank you so much for being here. We just look forward to you as a neighbor, and I see a late hand raised by Ann Udaloy, who I will give the floor to.
Thank you very much. A lot of you know me. You've worked with me for a number of years now. You know that I got into working with the Democratic Party because I fear for democracy in our country. And I really don't want to see a government of by and for the people perish under my watch. I have invited you to canvass in critical races all over King County, whether it was canvassing to elect Christiana so that we didn't have a 3% of Washington founder on the city council of Black Diamond, whether it was down in Burien so that we didn't get the slate of white supremacists elected to the Burien city council. You've invited me to help your candidates. I've been there. I've walked with you. I've phone banked, raised money. I'm asking every one of you right now, stand with Susanna Johnson. This one really matters at the most profound level. We need a sheriff who will stand up and say, yes, you can have accountability and public safety. Otherwise, we get sheriffs going, well, it just can't be done. And police chiefs and the whole bunch all telling us we can't have both those things. You can't hold police accountable. We need voices like Susanna who have walked it, who know it. We are so fortunate to have a candidate who brings her experience, her background, her integrity to be our voice in circles that we can't otherwise speak in. So I'm seriously asking every single one of you, please connect with the campaign, do what you can. And thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you. Again, Susanna Johnson, thank you for coming. You have support within this body. I look forward to supporting you. I look forward to seeing you again. And thank you so much for addressing this body.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'll send the info.
Perfect. Thank you. Our neighbors up north really need us. I appreciate everyone here. And we are moving on to our next item on the agenda. And that is the resolution introduced by the 48th LD Chair Lisa Weber, who I know is here. And in our call to meeting, we have a note to the motion to support the MASA Act and the officer board. I'm sure all of you have read it. The motion on the floor from our officer team is that we postpone indefinitely the resolution on the support of the MASA Act.
Okay, but I am going to get a chance to speak, correct?
Correct. We are going to vote. Yes, we're going to. So the motion on the floor, and James, because the motion on the floor is from the officer team, then we debate that motion, and then it turns over to Lisa Weber regarding the resolution. I want to make sure I have that timing perfect. So,
okay,
thank you.
That's correct.
Thank you.
But Lisa, you of course may also speak to the vote on the officer recommendation.
Right. So I guess there'll be someone to speak for that and then someone to speak against that.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank
So-
you. So
Okay.
the officer team in our July meeting looked at the resolution, and we took a vote for our recommendation, which is the motion on the floor, is to postpone indefinitely consideration of this resolution. And we have Melissa Taylor to speak in favor of the motion. We will then move to Lisa Weber to speak against the motion. I think that's what I just heard. Is that right, Lisa?
Yes.
And then we will open the floor for a for and against for 2 minutes each before we move to vote. Chris Porter.
I just put my hand up because I mute myself. But I just put my hand up probably a little too early. I'll wait until you're asking for speakers, I guess. Sorry.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you. If we can spotlight Melissa Taylor, who is going to speak in favor of the officer team to postpone indefinitely consideration of this resolution. And you have 2 minutes, and Carmen Rivera is timing. So she will give you a time notice.
I will put a thumbs up on my screen when you have 30 seconds left.
Okay, thanks, Carmen. So hi, everyone. For those of you who were in the May meeting, I originally proposed that we postpone it to allow everybody here to have time to read the underlying bill, to talk to people in your community. I know that many of you did. I also went and did more research and talked to more people. The reason that I feel so strongly that we should indefinitely postpone this is first, that this is a really nuanced foreign policy issue that is far from the issues where King County Democrats historically has considered support. There's issues in here like the fact that the Iranian military is not all volunteer. So to condemn and sanction a military that is compulsory and where conscientious objection is not an option, I think has real problems inherent to it. There are a number of other policy issues I'm concerned about, but I also am just concerned about us taking a position on a really nuanced foreign policy issue. Next, I went to a number of the people that I really respect in this area. I talked to Representative Pramila Jayapal. I talked to Anila Ghali. I reached out to Roxana Narouzi. I talked to my own representative, Daria Farivar, to another Iranian woman in my district, Leila Salmasi. I talked to a number of people about this act, and there are serious concerns from people in this community about this act. None of the people that I talked to support this act. And given that, I would additionally say that this is not a foreign policy issue that the King County Democrats should be weighing in on at this time. And then lastly, my concern with this is that at least one of the groups that is pushing this has engaged in harassment of my own state representative and other people in the Iranian community here. And it leads me to believe that there are some other factors.
Melissa, that is time.
That's time? Okay. So I urge you all to vote for the indefinite postponement of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Weber.
Hi.
You have up to 2 minutes to speak against the motion.
Thank you. I brought this forward because it's something that the 48th LD feels very strongly about after engaging with the Iranian immigrant women and Iranian women, descendants of immigrant women in our community that have been holding protests around King County since Masa Amani was shot and killed. And in the process of learning that, we found out that, yes, they have detractors in their own community that think that they are extremists because they are out to let the world know what's going on, and they want news to get out. A lot of them have family there still, but the Western journalists have been cut off from Iran since last October, along with their internet. But having people in the community still in touch with family members, they know what's going on. And so tonight, when in support of this resolution, I've asked someone from that community, I was going to give them time on the floor. And I feel that these are voting members and residents of our community that are fighting for democracy. And I believe with Barack Obama that when there is a glimmer of hope of democracy, we should support it. As far as concerns for military issues, Representative Adam Smith's office went over this for 3 weeks. Representative Adam Smith supports it. He's one of the leading people on the Defense Committee.
Oh, Lisa, I think you're on mute. If we can hold time while she
Okay,
fixes
sorry.
that.
Oh,
Okay,
I
we
just
can.
feel that
Time has been paused. Time has been paused. She has
Okay,
10
thanks.
seconds left.
Okay, can
Okay,
you hear
great.
me? So
Yes,
I
we
just
can.
felt with
Thank you.
his support that we did not need to worry about further repercussions on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. We will now call for a speaker in favor of the postponement. And Paul Chapman, I see your hand raised. And then Chris Porter. Paul Chapman.
I actually had a point of order or a question or whatever. We're voting on whether we should permanently postpone this vote rather than
Correct.
why aren't we just voting on whether or not, and I'm not trying to debate here, I'm just trying to understand why we're not just voting on yes or no on the resolution rather than.
So the officer, so as a recommendation, just like a pass, do pass, do not pass, the officer team took a vote that made a motion, that we put a motion on the floor to postpone indefinitely consideration of this resolution, that what Melissa spoke in favor for regarding the fine points of, is this resolution with the nuance of in an international scope, is it appropriate for us without what's what I'm looking for, without more depth in both the culture? Would this be appropriate for us to present to the floor?
But, and maybe this is a question for the parliamentarian, shouldn't we introduce the resolution first before we vote on postponing it, rather than voting to postpone something we haven't even?
So we are picking up the previous deliberation. We postponed it to our July meeting.
Okay.
From May. So
all right.
That was the debate, and what the motion that came out is that this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Chris Porter, I see your hand raised. Are you speaking for the recommendation or against?
For the recommendation to postpone it indefinitely. Yes.
You have the floor. You have 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Porter, 34th LD representative. My hesitation on this is whether or not we slowly march ourselves into the formation of a list. When people are placed on a list, what happens? When I think about all the issues and things that surround us in King County, this federal immigration international process is not one of them. I think this is an argument, having been on the state committee, that is best left for them if they want to entertain it. And if they feel then at that point, other LDs should weigh in. But I just can't really grasp how at the county level, jumping ahead to a very complicated federal issue, whether Adam Smith and other elected officials feel like they've looked into it and what have you, that's their issue to settle when they get to a vote. But I'm not sure how that grasps the tension of all the things that we have to worry about here in King County in light of our best and true motion with our, activity, which is in the middle of primaries to elect Democrats. So if we have a calling that is greater that says every LD should take this up, then we should. But without that, I would defer this indefinitely and hope that the state party, who tends to look at these more higher level things, takes it up and charts away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have a speaker against the motion? Paul Chapman, I see your hand raised.
Yeah. So to the points everyone has made, you know, the reason why I think this is relevant within King County Democrats is that unlike most of the rest of the state, we actually have a population of Iranian immigrants here in King County. And so to say that this is, you know, an inappropriate level for us to take things up, if what we want to do is influence our own Democratic representatives on an issue that is of national importance, I think that it's entirely appropriate for at the county level to influence our our national Democrats who represent a portion of the county. So deferring this to the state, I think, is a problematic approach if we look at this in a longer view. Second thing is, I think the human rights abuses happening here are egregious, and that as Democrats, we should care about human rights abuses of this sort, particularly when it impacts people who are our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends who have immigrated from this country. And that's why I would recommend that we vote against this motion to postpone indefinitely and take up the resolution itself and vote yes or no on the resolution.
Thank you, Paul. We have 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against the motion to postpone indefinitely. And before I move this to vote, I'm going to call on our guest, Naseem. Do you have a question?
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm an Iranian woman, and
I'm so sorry. I have to limit you because we are about to move it to vote.
Oh, of course.
As a courtesy. So I'm not taking statements. We are voting on the motion, but I will call on you when we're looking for statements regarding the debate if the motion fails.
Can I make one clarification?
Parliamentarian, although I asked for a question, is a clarification in order?
It's at your discretion.
I will let you make a clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. MASA Act will have 0 impact on military invasion of Iran or transfer of pharmaceutical or human rights help to Iran. 0 impact, and I can assure you of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I will now move this to vote. The motion on the floor, Judy Gibbs.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. I thought the meeting started at 7 instead of 6:30, so I haven't seen the resolution. Is there a copy of it someplace that we can look at real fast?
I will find a way to get a link into chat so that people can review the resolution. It was in the call to meeting under meeting materials. So my assumption was in our call to meeting that everyone would review it prior to the meeting to educate themselves on the content that we are. Thank you, James. I appreciate it. Thank you, Judy. Dwight, I see your hand raised.
Point of order. At the current time, LD 48 has 4 people that are starred as voters.
Thank you. Credentialing team, we have 4 members of the 48 who are starred as credentialed. I appreciate that, Dwight. Thank you. David Combs. You might be on mute.
Sorry about that. I am the webmaster for the 48th LD, and the resolution is up on that site. So I can either put that in the chat or send it to one of you, the link. If that would be helpful.
That would be great. If you could send it to Jeremy Barksdale, he can post it for everyone in our chat.
Okay, will do.
It looks like James Barker has actually dropped the link in the chat.
Oh, great. Perfect. Thank you. So the link is in the chat. I appreciate everyone who did read the resolution and read the note from the recommendation of the officer team prior to this meeting. I ask that each of us as an e-board review the materials before we come in. It would just help us all collectively come to the same place quickly and easily, and also in a deliberative, collaborative manner. Lisa Weber, I see your hand raised before we move it to vote. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, unmute. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's weird. Oh, it's just that I haven't been able to get a link to meeting notes. And I know I've told you about it earlier, so I just am, that's something that I need to do. Who should I work with to make sure that I can link to the links that are sent out with the executive stuff?
Great question. Right now, I'm going to say, why don't you just send it to me and I will find the appropriate person.
Okay.
It's summer, so we just are a little short staffed with volunteers. Sure. It's just a kind of a hard time of year, but if you send it to me, I will make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Hunter Brown, I see your hand raised.
I think this is a point of privilege, but I don't see who, when we do go to a vote, I should send my vote to. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to go ahead and explain how we're going to vote on this motion. We are going to use our reactions tab. So at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you have a reactions tab, and I will move it to vote. And thank you. I will give instruction. So those in favor of the officer team's recommendation to postpone indefinitely consideration of the resolution in support of the MASA Act. So this is in support of postponing indefinitely. Please, under your reactions tab, use your green check yes button so that we will then tally the yes regarding the postponement of this consideration of this motion indefinitely.
Can I make a point of order?
I can't see who has their hand raised, but
I'm sorry, it's Joseph.
Joseph, thank you. I just had to go to gallery. I'm spotlighted. So Joseph, point of order.
So I'm still not understanding why are we postponing and not just voting yes or no if we want to support the resolution?
Because that's the motion on the floor.
The motion
because that's the motion on the floor. Correct.
Okay,
got it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have, so the motion on the floor is postponement. So Paul, I'm going to call for all those against the motion. So if I see that you put against, but right now, thank you. Just so we can get very clear. So I'm going to give it one more minute. So our Judy Gibbs, I will call against the motion.
I'm against it.
Great, thank you. So we have 22 in favor, and all those who are against the motion, can you just hold your reactions? Because I'm going to call that next. I'm going to clear everything, and then we're going to clear it. So thank you. Oh, so we have 23 for. I'm going to clear right now.
Carrie, mine says yes, and I don't know, or no, never mind. Mine doesn't say yes, does it?
It does not.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. I'm going to clear feedback. Perfect. We have 23 in favor of the motion. I'm clearing results. And now all those opposed to the motion to postpone consideration of the motion, please use your reactions tab and hit the red no button. Alex, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, point of order. One person voted who is not credentialed, so I would remove one vote from the yes column.
Thank you.
Actually,
And-
I don't know if I'm supposed to be voting because I'm an alternate, am I?
Judy, you were credentialed and then your chair came into the meeting, so you no longer are because you're an alternate.
Okay, then I need to move my no vote.
Perfect. Thank you for removing that no vote. Chris Porter, I see your hand raised.
Yes, can you tell us how many credentialed voters there are?
I can ask our tally to provide that. Yes.
Yes, give me just a few seconds, please.
I will give it 1 more minute. And I am seeing 12 against the motion to postpone indefinitely. The motion to postpone indefinitely is adopted by a vote of 23 to 12.
And at this moment, we have 36 who are credentialed in the meeting. There are a couple people who've been bouncing in and out of the meeting, so it could go up to around 40, but right now there are 36.
Thank you. So the resolution in support of the MASA Act has been postponed indefinitely for consideration. And Naseem, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. I just want to make a couple of statements.
So I'm not calling for statements right now.
Question? Oh, okay.
But
sorry about that.
yeah, I will call on you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. I want to give a huge thank you to Lisa Weber, who's brought this resolution and her passion to the King County Executive Board. In passing this resolution to postpone indefinitely, we are not taking up consideration of this resolution. Naseem, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your passion. As of now, because we have voted to postpone it, we are not now in debate or consideration of the resolution to support the MASA Act.
This is not about MASA Act. Is that okay to just say one statement? The Iranian community's name.
So thank you. I just want to keep the meeting very fair. And to those, I think if you want to put a statement together versus addressing the body, because we will move on to the next thing in our agenda. Why don't you write me an email and I will commit to including it in our wrap up out of respect for you and your passion. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Will do.
Thank you. And next on our agenda, we are now moving on to our endorsements portion of our July meeting. And I just, again, want to reiterate my respect and admiration for our endorsements committee. They put in so many volunteer hours and they do it with passion and they do it with purpose. And under the leadership of Martin Cheney and Beth Baisley, along with our endorsement lead, Kat Pipkin, and everybody here who's been a part of this and has voice, I just want to say I'm grateful and thankful for an amazing endorsement committee. Where we are in our agenda is we have the endorsements portion, and we are going to start with our Rule 10. And I'm going to read what that means. So those that maybe didn't read through they called the meeting with the agenda, I'm going to read what this is. And this is a rescission of an endorsement. The 11th LD has enacted Rule 10, which is the rescission of the endorsement of King County Democrats. The candidate that we did endorse was Valerie O'Halloran for Renton City Council. It is their right to do so, and they did enact this. And before we move to debate, I'm going to call Beth Baisley, who's on our endorsement committee, to educate our body regarding the King County Democrats Endorsement Committee, our process, and how it relates in part to informing all of us where we're at today regarding the recension of Valerie O'Halloran. And so if we can spotlight Beth Baisley. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Barnes. I really appreciate that lovely introduction. I think of myself as a worker bee, so it's a treat to address all of you in the room this evening. It's a real treat for me to be speaking on behalf of all 109 members of King County's Endorsement Committee. Of those 109 members, we typically have participation from 16 LDs in each interview. And in fact, if you look around the room tonight, and I wish we were all in person so that we could look around the room tonight, there are 14 members of our committee here this evening. Please do feel free to engage with them in an ongoing way about our endorsement process. I'd like to share with you up front that our committee seeks to engage with every candidate that declares themselves a Democrat, and that we believe they come to us on a level playing field. We always assume positive intent from our members and from our candidates. Ours is an inclusive committee of the King County Democrats. As our chair, Martin Cheney, says, every single interview, we look forward to working with you in the future, whether or not King County ultimately endorses you. And he truly believes that. That is a hallmark of democracy, embracing those who step up to lead. Throughout our process, we invite candidates, as we also invite each LD to participate. We are the big tent committee, believe me. In addition to our interviews, our chair holds weekly office hours. We really hope for a robust communication with all of the LDs and all of the reps, who many of them right now are probably laughing at how often they hear from me. 2 days in advance of every interview, they receive a full email with the process, the procedure, the list of who we will be interviewing, and the entire length of background pieces that they can check in on for all of their research, for the candidate questionnaires, for if they have any questions or wonder about the process and how each interview will proceed. In addition to that, I encourage them to call me, text me, email me, Basecamp message me. And almost everybody in the room tonight has done that independently of our meetings and independently of the office hours. I am so proud of the process that our committee has established as a level playing field for every LD and for every single candidate. Our recommendations when we come to you are always a challenge and are always heartfelt. Each of those candidates who comes forward from their heart, believing they can do the best job representing the community. It's hard to pick every time. So our recommendation always reflects the thoughtful reflection, the thoughtful discussion, and voting from the representatives that you have chosen from across King County to make a decision on that recommendation. But in every case, our recommendation can only reflect the people who are in the room. As I mentioned earlier, I send those reminder emails. There were more than 22 of them. Everybody knew, every chair, every representative, all 109 people knew when we were going to meet with who, and then when we were going to talk about it. So anything that did not happen according to an LD's wishes or an individual's wishes, there were lots of opportunities to bring that forward prior to the recommendation. I stand behind all of our recommendations because they reflect the entire group who were involved in the process and who participated fully in meeting with each of those candidates, from fire protection to Port Council. It's a big job, and we feel that we have brought forward the candidate in each of those roles with their greatest ability and the best intention to represent their community. I welcome questions, but I know that Martin probably has some words as well. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Beth. Martin, as our endorsement chair, I will give you the floor.
You're muted, Martin. You're muted.
Oh, there we go. I
Oh,
finally,
there you go.
finally managed to get my mouse over the right thing there. Okay, so I was not entirely sure just quite how the process of this or the debate on this was going to work. Let me just try to pull up my notes.
So Martin, we will entertain the motion, and you are welcome to speak against, or
Okay.
you are welcome to give a statement as chair of the endorsement committee before we
Okay, so if
open it for
we move
debate.
to a point of debate, I would appreciate being able to make a statement against the motion, and so I'll try to confine my remarks at this time to things that I think are more germane to the process. I would like to reiterate much of what Beth has just stated, that that the King County Endorsements Committee works hard to make endorsements that reflect the entire county. People should bear in mind that when King County makes an endorsement, they are making an endorsement which is committing the entire county organization to work to support a candidate, and not just from the perspective of a single LD. A number of people have expressed surprise that our process sometimes yields endorsements that are contrary to what the individual LDs make. I guess I would like to express the view that what's surprising is not that we sometimes differ, but that we so often, and in fact, almost always concur, because we are making independent decisions from what the individual LDs are making. While we are, of course, all trying to apply democratic values to our decisions, the King County Endorsements Committee has chosen a particular method and a particular expression of those ideals. And so it's hardly a surprise that we will on occasion reach different conclusions. We try to run a process where we are utilizing a questionnaire which we use uniformly for race. We go through a process of evaluating or reviewing those submissions for a number of criteria, in particular, ensuring that candidates that we are considering are willing to declare publicly that they affiliate with the Democratic Party. But other than that, aside from completion and seriousness of their submissions, we do not apply any other litmus tests. And then we follow up their submission with analysis and research on the candidates within the capacity of our volunteers to do so. And then we conduct interviews with any candidate that we are able to schedule time with. Our interviews are typically about 30 minutes long. We try to follow uniform process with respect to those interviews, using the same questions, the same presentation of the questions, within our ability to do so for every candidate that's running for similar positions We have designed a scoring rubric that the committee members use. We encourage the committee members to try to apply that scoring rubric consistently for all of the candidates that they interview. And then we conduct, when we have finished all of those up, we conduct a recommendation meeting. Because of the vast number of candidates that the endorsement committee evaluates, this year we implemented, I'm unstable here. Okay, sorry, this said that I was unstable, but looks better again. We implemented a process to focus our discussions by having all of our voting members complete ranked choice voting ballots for every candidate. I would like to point out that in this particular race, the committee reached a better than 2/3 consensus agreement, just counting the first choices of our committee members for this race. So our decision was very clear and very strong. I think I will confine my remarks specifically about Valerie to, if we get to discussion about rescinding this endorsement. I guess I would like to then point out that that our process, while I think I commend our chair for allowing this motion to come forward before the body, because it's very important that all of you understand the work that we got. The provision for having the potential of rescinding an endorsement was really designed more for the case that a endorsed candidate is guilty of some very egregious action post their endorsement. And I don't think that that actually applies in this case, but of course that is up for all of the members of this body to consider. So thank you very much. And again, I am happy to take questions if anybody feels like that's necessary at any point in our meeting tonight, or after the meeting, if people have similar questions to take up.
And Martin, I'm going to hold you right there because I do see Bunny Hatcher's hand raised. Bunny, do you have a question for Martin?
Yeah, and I think maybe for you too, and it's just, I think, a procedural question that last month at our endorsement meeting, King County Democratic Central Committee, our endorsement meeting, Valerie Halloran was pulled from the slate and then represented and got the 2/3. And also, let me see, Erica Conway was nominated,
but we did not vote
2/3.
No, so we did not vote. No, we did not vote.
If I may interrupt, the nomination of Conway was out of order at the time because it occurred after the meeting was due to close because we had not extended. Thank you.
Okay, so that's what was my question, was that do we get redos on these things?
No,
if people weren't happy with the result last time.
Thank you. We did not vote. It had been raised, but it was out of order out at our meeting. So that is why we are bringing it to our July meeting.
I'd forgotten that. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you, Penny. Are there any questions for Martin?
I did have one quick question. Let me raise my hand. Sorry. This is Joe.
Okay.
One of the things that was a mishap for us in the 11th is we went through and we selected representatives that, you know, had the time to actually come to the endorsement discussions, come to the interviews and participate. one issue that we had is the person that was designated had to step down from the position. And so does that have any bearing on the decisions that are being made? If we had someone that had to step down and they couldn't participate in the discussions?
I'm gonna let Beth answer this, and then and then as chair, I will address that. And Joseph, if we can use our raised hand next time, that would be super helpful.
Yep.
So Beth, did you want to?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for that excellent question, Joe. We invite not just that one representative, but in fact, in each of those 22 reminder emails, 3 representatives from the 11th LD received notification of every meeting and every voting opportunity. And in none of those meetings did any representative from the 11th LD attend a meeting. So it would have been very hard for us to be aware of an 11th LD preference or priority because of a lack of participation. But as I mentioned, we tried really hard, really hard to become available and to make everybody aware of the work that's being done. I believe that this endorsement work is some of the most important work this body performs in any given year. And for that reason, we've gone absolutely overboard in communicating our opportunities to participate, our opportunities to weigh in with your thoughts and opinions. And the 11th is not the only LD that has not participated. The 12th as well has not participated at all. So you have company, but it is a sadness to us that we were not able to take into consideration these heartfelt feelings and that they came in so much later in the process that they could not be considered. We feel that we've gone out of our way to include everybody's opinions. So thank you, Joe, for bringing up that thought, and Chair, thank you for the extra moment to speak.
Thank you very much. I will open the floor to questions for Martin before we move into our debate on the motion, which is our Rule 10. I am seeing no questions. Thank you, Martin. I will now open the floor for debate. What is on the floor is enacting our Rule 10, which is to rescind the endorsement of Valerie O'Halloran, who is endorsed by the King County Democrats. This has been asked by the 11th LD. And with that, I will give Holly Hill or Joseph Todd or Chair Ines the floor. Before I do that, I see 2 hands raised. Paul, do you have a question?
Is this just for questions or for debate at this point?
So
Sorry.
I'm calling on the 11th to speak in favor of the motion to rescind. I will call on Martin, who will speak against the motion to rescind, and then I will open the floor. So I will give the 11th LD, the representatives here, if you can use your raised hand to speak in favor of your motion to rescind the King County endorsement of Valerie O'Halloran. Joseph Todd, are you speaking in favor of your motion to rescind?
Yes.
Great. You have 2 minutes. We will start the timer. If you can turn your camera on, then we can spotlight you.
I'm having trouble with my internet. And so when I use video, it starts to get really
great.
jerky,
And can you see Carmen Rivera, because she will give you the thumbs up sign when you are 30 minutes
Let
into your 2
me
minutes.
stretch my screen out a bit so I can make sure I see.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Joe, I will give you a thumbs up on my screen when you have 30 seconds remaining. Or would you like me to unmute and verbally tell you you have 30 seconds remaining? Which do you prefer?
You know, Carmen, it'd be much better if you just unmute and say you got 30 seconds.
Yes, sir, I will do that.
Thank you.
And we will start when you start.
All right, thanks. So one of the big things about being a Democrat is making sure that we have Democrats who support democratic values. And we have seen the results of not having folks that are Democrats, real Democrats, engaging in voting that has not supported democratic values. That's why we're currently in the state at the national level where women have lost the right to choose. Affirmative action was just struck down that can be used in schools. And we are seeing all over the country some big issues because we haven't really seen fit to endorse and elect Democrats who really reflect democratic values. In this particular case, during 2020, when George Floyd was murdered, and we got a chance to see that on national television, in my particular city, Valerie O'Halloran decided that she would support the police instead of asking for accountability and reform. And not only that, she supported Republicans who are misogynist, racist, and homophobes right here in our city, and ran against one of our Democratic council members that are currently on council. And so when I look at the values and when I think about what we are as Democrats, we should be making sure that the people that we endorse and engage with reflect our values. Valerie O'Halloran does not reflect our values. Thank you, Carmen. And I understand totally that there were times that we should have, as an LD, engaged and made our feelings known, but we missed. And that's a mistake that I truly apologize to King County Democrats for. But that shouldn't be the reason why we continue down the road with a mistake. She should not be
That
endorsed.
is time, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much. I will now turn the floor over to Martin Cheney to speak against the motion to rescind Valerie O'Halloran.
Martin, do you wish for me to let you know when you have 30 seconds left, or do you want me to just put a thumbs up on my screen?
Sure, you can interrupt with when I have 30 seconds left, because otherwise it's hard for me to follow the chat at the same time.
Will
Okay.
do, sir.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate everybody's attention to this matter. I guess I would like to say that that the arguments that are being advanced about this are essentially arguments that should have been brought forward at the time that the endorsement was made. I know that there are always people who are very passionate about these things, and it seems like when an endorsement has been made and people disagree with it, that they would like to have redos. But in this particular case, the County Endorsement Committee interviewed Valerie. My summary of her interview with us is that she stood out in her knowledge of housing policy, her commitment to increase affordable housing while protecting the environment. She talked about her track record of improving policing through early adoption of body cameras, support for community policing, and alternatives to traditional policing. She talked about her support of gun safety and being a strong advocate for gun safety, and she expressed pride in her role in developing Renton's business, reviewing every policy project and program. Now, I would like to point out that our analysis of candidates is very heavily weighted. I'm talking slow, though. Yeah, I was getting a bad internet connection. Our policies are very heavily weighted to our interviews, where we place strong trust in what the candidates say to us, because that's
You have about 30 seconds, Martin.
That's one of our democratic. Okay, in rescinding endorsements is a serious matter. They are designed more for egregious actions by candidates subsequent to their endorsements. people should understand that actions have consequences. If the King County Executive Board votes to rescind this endorsement, that is essentially a strong repudiation of our endorsement committee process, and we would treat it as such, and it would have significant effects on the way we manage things.
That's
so
our time.
thank you. I encourage you to support your endorsement committee.
Thank you. Holly Hill, I see your hand raised. Are you speaking in favor?
Yes, thank you, Chair Barnes.
Holly, would you wish me to put a thumbs up, or would you like me to interrupt you at 30 seconds left?
Go ahead and interrupt. Thanks, Carmen. The 11th LD knows that we are asking a lot of KC Dems and appreciate your consideration. I hope that everyone read the letter submitted to request this review that is attached to the agenda. The 11th LD endorsement is not a popularity contest. Our endorsement meetings are the most attended meetings of the year, with more than double our normal attendance. KC Dems endorsed a candidate who was not endorsed by any of the LDs in the jurisdiction over a well-qualified candidate overwhelmingly endorsed by the 11th, representing over 90% of the jurisdiction and the largest block of rented voters. We as Democrats committed to fighting hate speech should not endorse a candidate who supported a past candidate known for their derogatory comments about marginalized communities and homophobic hate speech, including the F word against our LGBTQ community. We as a body should not endorse a candidate who attended a Blue Lives Matter rally after George Floyd was murdered. We should not endorse a candidate who has endorsed anti-choice Republicans. We as King County Democrats should stand for a candidate with proven progressive democratic values, not a candidate who is Republican light. Please restore the integrity of the LD endorsement process and rescind this endorsement.
Thank you. Chris Porter, are you speaking for or against the rescission of Valerie O'Halloran?
I'm sorry, Chair, I wanted to do a motion to extend debate, but that has to be after this last speech. Sorry.
Thank you. Paul Chapman, I see your hand raised. Are you speaking in favor or against the motion to rescind Valerie O'Halloran?
I'm speaking in favor of rescinding.
Point of personal privilege. Chair, we just heard a speech in favor of rescinding the.
Correct. I am looking for a hand raised who is speaking against the motion to rescind Valerie O'Halloran. Beth Baisley, I see your hand raised.
Thank you, Chair Barnes.
Beth, would you like a 30-second notification with me unmuting myself, or would you like a thumbs up?
I can see your thumbs up. Thank you, Carmen, but I don't even think I'm going to take 30 seconds. The point I'd like to make is that there was ample opportunity to address specific issues about Valerie O'Halloran. And even this evening, there was ample opportunity to discuss specific issues about Valerie O'Halloran. The worst issues were about people in her political sphere who she chooses to sometimes partner with. They're not about her. So it's challenging to view those things in light of what we saw in our interview with her and what we read on our questionnaire from her. Coming from the 5th LD, I want to add that I truly appreciate those who are occasionally willing to reach across the aisle. Our re-election of Representative Kim Schreier might not have happened had not the Republican mayor from Wenatchee be willing to be shown sitting across the bench from a Democratic mayor from Issaquah in a statewide television commercial. That was used widely, and we were very grateful for that, because in many of our areas, we need to reach across the aisle to get work done for all of our citizens. So in this case, I stand behind the committee's decision, saddened that we were not able to consider some of the other points, but but it doesn't make that one candidate no longer eligible for Democratic support. And I look forward to supporting an additional candidate so that many voters can consider both wonderful Democratic candidates for City Council. Thank you, Chair Barnes, and thank you, Carmen.
Thank you. We've had 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against. Chris Porter.
Thank you, Chair. I move that we extend the debate to 2 more speeches for and 2 more speeches against this particular very important motion.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to extend debate. And I will ask the body, do we do debate on your motion? Sorry, I just got lost. I believe we do. So I will take speakers for. Chris, do you want to speak? Or is there a second? Sorry, is there a second to extend debate?
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded to extend debate to 2 additional speakers for and 2 additional speakers against the motion to rescind. And with that, Chris, would you like to speak in favor of your motion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I can give rationale on why I would speak in favor of the motion, but the reason that I think we should extend debate on this is that it is crucial, it is pertinent, and there are still some other issues that we should consider. I think just boiling it down to 2 speeches for and 2 speeches against isn't enough for people to get their minds and votes totally wrapped around the importance of why we need to extend the debate on this. A few years back, a candidate, Erin Jones, had her endorsement rescinded from this body. And I don't recall as intense arguments for what I would say was a very nuanced statement in the media. And the examples set for us again are that we had a bite at the apple. Well, we need an additional bite at this apple. And I hope that people are in support of extending this so that we can better understand ramifications and greater arguments on this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Chapman, are you speaking against the motion to extend debate?
No.
Is there anyone who wants to speak against the motion to extend debate?
Carrie, unless we have a rule otherwise, motion to extend debate is typically not debatable and requires 2/3.
Oh, we can move to vote. If you can use your 2/3. James, do we do this to our tally committee or can I do this by reactions tab?
At your discretion.
All those in favor of the motion to extend debate, please use your reactions tab and please hit the green yes button. And please be sure you have a star by your name. Only those with a star by their name will be able to vote to extend debate.
Yes, and I just triple checked all of the credentialing. It is correct and accurate at this moment with everyone who's come in and out of the meeting in the last few minutes.
Thank you. Please get your vote in. I will give it 30 more seconds.
I didn't get that. Could you try?
That is my watch. That's really awkward. Listening to me. You have 15 more seconds to vote in favor of the motion to extend debate. And okay, I'm going to clear. We have a 21 in favor, 22. I'm going to clear all feedback. And all those opposed to the motion to extend debate, please use your reaction tabs and please hit the red no. All those opposed to extending debate, please use your reactions tab and please hit the red no. I will give it 30 more seconds. We have 14. I'm going to clear all feedback. We have the motion 2/3. So credential, we have 22 in favor, 14 against. It needs a 2/3 or more majority.
They received 60% of the vote. The motion does not carry.
The motion does not carry. Thank you very much. The motion does not carry. We will now move to vote with this body. If you look at we have a tally committee, and if you can put in chat who you vote to on this motion, please direct message your tally committee the vote whether to rescind the KCD endorsement of Valerie O'Halloran. And we can read those off as well. Beth Baisley.
Wondering if you can instruct us specifically on how to state yes, rescind, no, do not rescind, or is that what they actually write?
That is what they write. So we are putting your tally committee member for KC Democrats, for DNC Young Democrats, 1st, 5th, 11th, or 12th. You are going to, and it's kind of hard because it gets a little, who is the 37th? Who is that?
I'm everyone 30th and down, so that's easy.
So Alex Erickson, you will, so if you are in the, did we put that in the chat so everyone knows our tally committee member?
Oh, so KC Dems, DNC, Young Dems, and then 1st through 12th should send me.
That's Alex Erickson. So please direct message him yes or no on the motion to rescind Valerie O'Halloran.
Okay, and I'm confused too. Does everybody else go to Chris Franco? Because I'm from the 48th, and that's who I think I go to.
No, everyone else comes to me.
Yeah, Christina Reeve. B.
Madam Chair, Tim Burns, 30th LD. I'm having trouble finding my representative in chat. It's operating very slowly.
Is the chat operating slowly?
Yes.
Apologies for that. I'm not sure. Can you find your Christina Beverlin for your vote?
So this is Lisa. I'm going to try and text Christina my vote from my text because I'm having a hard time with my Zoom on my phone.
Perfect. Thank you. Joseph Todd, I see your hand raised.
I just wanted to make sure. So is it yes if rescind, no if don't
That
rescind?
is correct. Your
Okay,
vote
thank
is
you.
yes to rescind, no in opposition.
Thank you.
Chris, thank you. Chris Porter.
I kind of got lost on, I'm in the 34th, so who am I directing this vote to? Again, I kind of got lost.
Christina.
Christina Beverlin. Thank you. And are there any other questions about who to send your direct message text to for those that are credentialed and are voting on the motion yes to rescind Valerie O'Halloran's King County Democrats endorsement, or no? No to not rescind the King County endorsement of Valerie O'Halloran. Are there any questions?
Regarding the 5th.
Voting
Yes.
right
Can I confirm that Carol Lynn is voting as our female identifying? Casey Shanklin is voting in the place of Roger Ledbetter, who is typically here, as our male identifying. And then our chair, Mary Newcomer Williams, is here as well.
Carrie, I have a quick question for you and Martin about how we've historically interpreted.
Carolyn. Oh, sorry.
Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, we have a question about our historic interpretation of Rule 10. It differs from most of our endorsement procedures in that it requires a 2/3 vote of those present and voting, which is different than the majority of rules, which are 2/3 vote of the body. To confirm, are we intending to count abstentions against the total or not?
No,
Thank you.
an abstention is not a vote.
Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding your vote? We will take those.
I have a question. This is Karen Tennyson. Okay, so I'm not, I know Jeremy told me who I vote for, but I don't know how to vote. Do I do a message, just a direct message to that person?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
So in the 45th, who has the credentialing for the 45th? Is that Chris Franco?
Is Christina Beverlin?
Yes.
Okay, but I pulled up the list, send chat to, and she's not listed.
It's because I have a 30 right in front of my name because I'm listing all the LDs. So if you see the numbers first.
Oh, I see. Okay, I didn't see that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen, so much. Terry Gallagher, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I would like to revisit the question of the abstentions and get a more official ruling on it. My understanding, and I'm not the parliamentarian, but my understanding is that the point of abstentions is to be counted against the total of votes cast when it is a question of X percent of votes cast. So I would like to refer that back to the parliamentarian and perhaps get a final ruling from the chair and not just from another member.
Thank you. James Barker.
Thank you. My interpretation of our endorsement procedures is that unlike most of our endorsement votes, which require a majority or 2/3 of the body, in which case an abstention is effectively no, the vote for rescission of endorsements requires a 2/3 vote of those present and voting, which is typically interpreted as excluding abstentions.
Does that answer your question, Tara?
If that is the General Roberts interpretation of abstentions, then yes.
Thank you. And Tally, are we close to a total? Do we have a couple minutes?
We only have 13 votes in so far. I don't know if we want to give more time or if most people are choosing not to vote. I don't know. I can't tell.
I would ask the members of this body, if you are credentialed, to please get your vote in to the appropriate representative on the motion on the floor. It is important for this executive board to have their voice and vote.
Chair Barnes, this is Jen Carter from the Credentials Committee.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the tally sheet and I am not seeing votes that are winding up in that tally sheet. I think there may be a member of tally that is not recording things just yet.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perhaps, I don't know, if tally chair, if Tara Gallagher or whoever else is tally chair could maybe check in with the team.
That would be great. I'm going to ask Christina Beverland, could you please look at the sheet and work with the other tally committee so that we are recording appropriately and transparently?
Yes, it's just Alex, who I think hasn't put his votes in. It's Alex and I are the only two who are collecting votes.
Oh, I think I put it in the wrong sheet. 1 second. I apologize.
No worries. No worries. We are all volunteers. This is like, we're doing our work every day because it matters. And we believe in the values of Democrats. We believe that we can disagree, but all come together because at the end of the day, it is for people who will never know who we are, who will get the benefit of the policy of what we fight for, because we believe in a greater picture than ourselves. And I just appreciate grace and patience with all of our volunteers as we honor the time that we put in. And so I am reiterating both my appreciation and my ask that we stay engaged with each other, with the process, to really represent King County and elect Democrats. So as a body, I'm very proud of this organization, and I just appreciate everyone's voice. And I'm going to give it a couple minutes for tally. And thank you for everyone who has spoke up and shared their opinion tonight. Are we a couple of minutes away? Should we, do we have a couple of minutes to wait?
2 more minutes would be great.
Okay, perfect. So we have 2 more minutes, and I'm going to fill a bit of that 2 minutes and highlight that we are coming up against the primary. I know all of us are working for our endorsed candidates to get them through the primary, through the general. I'm going to ask you to call your neighbors and friends and make sure they get their ballots in. I was on a group text with some friends and they were asking me who to vote for. And my first response was, what do you mean you haven't voted yet? This is exactly the time that those that are going to vote, we remind them that there's an election. We remind them who to vote for. We remind folks to get their ballots in either a drop box, get them in the mail. For folks who are curious about who to vote for, make sure that we are saying who our legislative districts have voted for, send them to King County Democrats. It's really important to get our turnout rate. In odd year elections, our turnout rate is very low. And whether or not that's by design remains to be seen. However, it is really important for all of us to be the sounding board for Democrats to get your ballots in. Lisa Weber, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wondered if King County was maybe going to try to do some big text over the weekend to try to remind people to vote. And if there was some way that LDs could help with that.
That is a great question. Technically, I would love to say yes. Practically, I'm not sure that answer. I have an answer to that strictly based on we had a text baking company that we have renewed. If it is up and running, that would be great. We're facing a huge bill from our previous text banking company. So I'm going to ask you to hold tight on that.
Sure. It was just, just a thought. And I totally understand why you can't do it, but if we can, it would be great.
I totally agree. I would love to. Thank you.
Could we give 1 more minute and ask everyone who hasn't voted to check their DMs? Because I sent DMs to people who haven't voted. Just to make sure. Some of you were kind of vocal and I still haven't received a vote.
So if you go to at the bottom of the Zoom and there's a chat. If you can please look to see if someone is waiting for your vote. That would be great. So I think we give it, are folks getting there? Is there any pickup in folks that are voting?
Yes, there are several more right now.
Thank you. So folks, if you look at your chat, that would be great for the motion on the floor.
Okay, can I shamelessly plug the 48th picnic?
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, it's August 16th and it's at Crossroads Park in Bellevue. And we already have confirmation of at least one statewide candidate that will be running next year that's not in the 48th or 45th, because we each have one that may be attending. So we will, as soon as we think it's appropriate, we'll share it and we'll make sure that you have it to put on the notes. Everyone's
Thank
invited.
You. And did you get the, did the Eventbrite work, Lisa?
No, so we need to talk.
Yes, I wasn't sure, but there will be an Eventbrite. The 48th has a great event and it's August 16th, correct?
Oh yes, and it's from 6 to 8 or 8:15ish at Crossroads Park. But, yeah.
Just put in chat.
But speakers will be starting about 6:45.
My husband and I went to the 48th Crossroads event last year and had amazing burgers. It was really fun.
Thanks.
Thank you. Tally, are we close? Thank you everyone for your patience.
Yes, I do have a total. It is 13 yes and 16 no with 2 abstentions. So the percent in favor is 44.8%.
So the motion to receive Valerie O'Halloran does not pass. The motion to rescind Valerie O'Halloran, KC Democrats endorsement does not pass. Also on the agenda at this time is the endorsement motions. And with that, I will pull up Martin Cheney. Sorry, I'm doing 2 things. Paul, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just told that I didn't vote, but I did vote. So I just wanted to make sure that my vote was actually tallied.
Christina Beverland, can we confirm Paul Chapman's vote?
Yes, I did not get a message from you previously, Paul, but I have one now. So that changes the total by 1. So it's 14 yes and 16 no with 2 abstentions, which is 46.
Right. The motion does not pass. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you. We're moving on to the endorsement portion of our July meeting. And with that, I will bring in Martin Cheney to give the endorsement report. We will vote on the recommendations from the endorsement committee, and then I will open the floor for nominations from the floor with 2 I know, one from Holly Hill and another one from Lisa Weber. So just from a process standpoint, I'm gonna let Martin Cheney give his endorsement report, and then we'll be voting on those recommendations. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, and thank you all of you for sustaining the recommendations of the endorsements committee. Tonight, we are bringing forward 14 candidate recommendations and 2 levy recommendations. We expect this to be our final list of recommendations prior to the primary election. We anticipate bringing forward additional recommendations in September for races where the King County Democratic Central Committee endorsed candidates failed to advance, as well as in races where candidates, for some reason, chose not to submit an endorsement request in time for the primary, but decide to engage with us after that time. So we have met with levy campaigns, and we are recommending that we endorse the Raise the Wage Renton campaign, as well as the Yes for Homes campaign in Seattle. Then there are candidates that we are recommending because they are running in single LD jurisdictions, and the relevant LD has endorsed them. Carrie, Madam Chair, should I read the names of those endorsements at this time, or is the prior
Yes,
notice
please.
that was? Okay.
It was both
so-
prior notes, but I think it's appropriate that we read them tonight.
Okay,
Can you
there's a
screen
small
share?
enough list. There's a small enough list that I think we can do that. In Black Diamond, we are recommending Nathan Jones for Black Diamond City Council position 6, and also Pravit Sripanatharanan, sorry for mispronouncing that, also for Black Diamond City Council position 6. In Snoqualmie, we are recommending Louis Ray Washington Jr. for council position 4. In Carnation position 5, we're recommending Jessica Mirazan. In the Derringer School District, Director position 5, Paul Gilmartin. For Duval City Council position 7, Carol Kufelt. Federal Way City Council position 4, Lydia Asafa Dawson. And Newcastle City Council position 4, Chris Villasenor. One of these races is interesting because we are recommending a dual endorsement in the Black Diamond City Council. This is unusual because normally the endorsement committee is prohibited from bringing forward a dual recommendation, but in this case, the 5th LD endorsed both candidates for Black Diamond City Council position 6. So when we get around to doing polls, if anybody is so inclined, if you are going to pull one of those races, you must pull both of them, because our bylaws require that when a single jurisdiction LD makes a endorsement, we must make precisely the same endorsement or no endorsement at all. Then we have races where the endorsement committee is bringing forward recommendations in multi-district races. And so in Highline School District 401, Director position 4, we are recommending Joy Martinez. King County Fire Protection District 40, Commissioner position 1, Linda Saturnak. Renton City Council position 4, Ryan McIrvin. Renton Mayor Kim Monroe. Snoqualmie City Council position 3, Sid Gupta. And Cy Valley Metro Park District position 1, Tim Noonan. And those are our recommendations. I believe that we would normally vote each of the 2 groups of candidates as slates, and I would think that we might take action on the initiatives as separate matters. Of course, I'm open to answering any questions, but I hope that's actually pretty straightforward.
Thank you, Martin. Are there any questions from the body regarding the recommendation report from the endorsement committee? Are there any questions? I don't see anyone's hands raised. Thank you, Martin. We will now, Christina Beverlin, I see your hand raised.
I have a quick update because I got 5 votes in at once. I think there is a chat lag, like someone had mentioned previously, and including yours, Paul, I got yours in. We had a total of 35 votes, and that is 17 yes and 18 no, and 2 abstentions. So it's still 48% in favor, but the total is, I did finally get the remaining 5.
Thank you for that update. The motion fails to pass. 48%. Thank you, Christina. We will now move. Joseph Todd, I see your hand raised.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat? Could the tally team repeat?
Absolutely. Tally, could you repeat it and also put that in chat for everyone to view?
Yes, absolutely. A total of 35 votes were cast, 17 for yes, 18 for no, with 2 abstentions.
And the threshold with a 2/3 majority vote. Thank you. We will move to, thank you so much, Sally. We will move to vote on the recommendations. We will do them in 3 different blocks. We will do the 2 measures, recommendation measures, the raise the wage, yes for homes, Seattle. And with that, I will call for, with these 2, we will group them as a slate for vote. And I will open the floor for any division. If someone wishes to pull one of these initiatives out, please use your raised hand. Seeing no raised hand, the motion on the floor is to adopt raise the wage and yes for homes. I will now open this for debate. If anyone wishes to speak in favor, please use your raised hand or speak against. Seeing no debate, I'm going to ask that we use our reactions tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And those in favor of adopting the recommendation from the endorsement committee on raise the wage Renton, yes for home Seattle, please click your green yes button. Thank you, everyone. It's your reactions tab. Please hit the green yes button to adopt the recommendation for endorsement of the raise the wage Renton and yes for home Seattle. I will give it 1 more minute. I'm looking at everyone who has a star by their name, making sure you voted. I will give it 30 more seconds. And with that, we have 32 yeses. This is last call. Please get your vote in before I clear all reactions. Thank you. I see 33 yeses. I'm going to clear all reactions. All those opposed to adopting the recommendation to endorse raise the wage or yes for homes, please use the reaction tabs and hit your no button. I am seeing none. I will give it 30 more seconds. And thank you everyone for participating. Last call. 10 more seconds. And seeing none. The recommendation for the two measures, raise the wage and Yes for Home Seattle, are endorsed by the King County Democrats. Thank you very much. We are moving on to the following candidates are recommended because they are running in a single LD jurisdiction and the relevant legislative district has endorsed them. I'm going to open the floor for any calls for division regarding this slate. Are there any calls for division? Are there any calls for division? And seeing none, the motion on the floor is to adopt the recommendation of the endorsement committee for the candidates that are running in a single LD jurisdiction and the relevant LD. I will open the floor for debate. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor or against this motion? Please use your raised hand. And seeing none, I will now ask that you use your reactions tab at the bottom of your Zoom. And please click the green yes button to adopt the recommendation of this endorsement committee for the recommended candidates in a single legislative jurisdiction, and the relevant LD has endorsed them. Thank you for voting. I will again ask that you get your votes in. If you have a star before your name, you are a credentialed voting member. Please get your vote in. I will give it 1 more minute. Chris Porter, are you still with us?
I am, yes.
Perfect.
Oh, I guess I should vote, shouldn't I?
Thank you. I will give it 30 more seconds. Last call. Please get your votes in for the adoption of the endorsement committee's recommendation for the single legislative district jurisdiction and the relevant LD. I'm now going to clear. We have 34 in favor. I'm going to clear all feedback. And all those opposed to the recommendation to endorse the single legislative district, please use the reactions tab and hit the red no. I will give it 10 more seconds. I'm seeing no votes in opposition. Thank you, everybody. Seeing none, the motion to adopt the recommendations from the endorsement committee passes, and congratulations to all the candidates in the single legislative district jurisdiction. We will notify them that they now have the King County Democrats endorsement. Thank you so much. Finally, we are now before us, the endorsement committee recommending the following candidates who are running in multi-jurisdiction races. The motion on the floor is for division to adopt the recommendation of the endorsement committee. Are there any calls for division? Any calls for division? Seeing none, I will open the floor for debate in favor or against the recommendation to adopt the endorsements committee recommendation in multi-legislative district jurisdictions. And seeing no hands, I will now ask for members to use your reactions tab and please hit the green yes to adopt the recommendation of the endorsement committee in the multi-legislative district jurisdiction. All those with a star before your name, please get your vote in using the reactions tab. And thank you to everyone. I'm going to give it 10 more seconds. Please get your vote in. We have 35 yeses. I'm going to clear the field, and all those opposed, please use the reaction tab and hit the red no button, please. Seeing none, the motion to adopt the endorsement committee's recommendation with the following candidates who are running for multi-LD jurisdiction passes. And congratulations to all those candidates. They now have the King County Democrats endorsement. So again, thank you to our endorsement committee for all of their hard work, their clarity, their engagement. I just wanted, again, every meeting, I just cannot give you guys enough credit, and I am appreciative to all the members and leadership, to everyone who volunteers their time. This is, I just could not ask for a better committee, and I'm very grateful and appreciative. I will now open the floor for endorsement motions from the floor. And with that, I will call on Holly Hill, who has previously let us know she's putting forth. Erica Conway, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair Barnes. Erica Conway is a longtime.
So I need do we need a second real quick?
Second, Chris Porter.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Go ahead, Holly. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Erica Conway is a longtime Renton resident and dynamic progressive who will bring a new, fresh perspective to Renton City Council. Erica has degrees in sociology and criminal justice, which serve her well as a member of the Renton Police Chiefs Council. Part of her job on the Chiefs Council is to help improve relations with communities and the police department. As a member of the NAACP, Erica advocates for different hiring practices with the State Patrol, King County Sheriff, and Renton PD to hold departments accountable for their hires. This, along with her lived experience and advocacy as Vice President of the Seattle King County NAACP, gives her credibility in working with officers to encourage police to support and interact properly with our marginalized communities. Erica is an organizer. She organized They Shall Never Be Forgotten, an organization recognizing individuals killed by gun violence. Erica organized the NAACP annual holiday event, partnering with the Richard Sherman Foundation, providing holiday gifts and meals for children. During the pandemic, Erica worked tirelessly to distribute masks and spread the word overcoming vaccine resistance in the Black community. A passion for Erica is advocating for very young girls, who are disproportionately girls of color, caught up in the sex trafficking trade. Acknowledging that racism is a public health crisis, Erica works with King County to evaluate and distribute grants to organizations helping to combat this crisis. As Vice President of the Seattle King County NAACP, she advocates for children experiencing
30 seconds, Holly.
Erica participates in voter registration events in Renton and other community events. Erica received the 2/3 voting threshold to win the 11th LD endorsement. The 11th LD has over 90% of the Renton voting bloc, and Erica best represents the values of the 11th LD Democrats. Erica Conway deserves the endorsement from King County Dems. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we have any speakers against the endorsement of Erica Conway? Do we have any speakers against? Last call, any speakers against? We've had a speech in favor. Rep. Tim Burns.
Madam Chair, has this candidate submitted a questionnaire and been recommended by the endorsement committee?
I'm sorry, just glitched a quick second. Can you repeat that?
Has this candidate submitted a questionnaire to King County and been recommended by the endorsement committee? It makes a difference in the voting.
Correct. Go ahead, Martin.
Yes, this candidate has submitted a questionnaire, but the endorsement committee has not made a recommendation for her. There is a standing, there's a different candidate that was endorsed in this race. So the threshold for this endorsement to pass is 2/3.
Thank you, Martin. This is for this candidate, we'll need a 2/3 to be endorsed by King County Democrats. And with that, we've had one speaker in favor. We will now move this to vote to this body on the endorsement of Erica Conway for position 3. If you can please find your tally member. I see a green check. So Tim, we are going to send a yes or no endorsement to our tally members. So Tim, if you can find your tally member, who's Christina Beverlin. And we also have, let's see who else has a green check. So Tim, if you could email Christina Beverlin your yes or no on the endorsement of Erica Conway for Renton City Council position 3. And if anyone has any questions who your tally person is, please use your raised hand. Thank you very much. We will. And Christina Beverlin has put in the chat to direct message her your yes for the endorsement of Erica Conway or no if you are in the 30th legislative district or higher. And we'll give it a couple minutes. Please email Alex Erickson. You just put a note in chat.
Sure, that was just to you.
Who is that?
It's just to you to send in your vote.
Oh, sorry.
All good.
I'm just reading. I get notes, I read them out loud. And again, this is for the dual endorsement. We are endorsing Erica Conway. And Tally, how are we doing?
Just a couple more minutes, please.
That's perfect. And while we wait, are there any chairs who at this moment are waiting for Tally like to share an upcoming event or a success they've had with this primary election, with an event that's already happened? I know the 41st had a great event last weekend. The 48th has one upcoming.
Okay, I'm going to tell the 48th again then. We had a great turnout for a get out the vote for our candidates in Renton and Lake Washington School Board last weekend. We had about 6 teenagers there, four to 6 teenagers there, and more people out than we had most of last year. So, yay, yes.
That's a success. Thank you, Lisa. Mary Newcomer, Chair of the 5th Legislative District.
Yeah, out in the 5th LD, we've got lots of festivals in the summer. So we had recent, and we've had great attendance and great engagement with our booth with a new Wheel of Fortune feature where people spin a little wheel and get asked sort of civics questions and get little prizes. So it's turned out to have brought lots of attention. So we were just at Black Diamond Miners Days, and then we'll be at Festival at Mount Si, Snoqualmie Days, Black Diamond Labor Days, and then Salmon Days in October. So busy, lots of fun festivals where folks can find the 5th LD.
That's fabulous. Thank you. Jen Carter.
Hi, everyone. I have a very unusual plug for you. I am Hospital Commissioner Jen Carter. I represent the 5th LD. And as a role on the board of Snoqualmie Valley Hospital, it is my delight to plug for you our Botox clinic. Stay with me. Stay with me. If you already enjoy those kinds of aesthetics treatments, why not keep the money local and go visit my Snoqualmie Valley Hospital Aesthetics Clinic, where the money goes to fund our charity care program. So instead of buying another yacht for your dermatologist in Bellevue, come on out to East King County and get your treatments at Snoqualmie Valley Hospital and keep the money local and do it for a good cause. I will put a link in the chat.
Perfect. I was just going to ask, can we get that link and I will send it out to the summary to our follow-up email so that different legislative districts. Thank you.
We'd love to have you.
Love to be there. Thank you. Chris Porter, put in into chat, the 34th had a great fundraiser, and I will say I had some friends who live in West Seattle who made mention that it was a great event. So Chris, do you want to say a couple words?
Thank you, Carrie. Yes. So we had our annual fundraiser at C&P Coffee in West Seattle. And it's a great place and a great space. They have a great patio. And we had candidates that were running, Manka Dhingra running for Attorney General, and another person who I can't remember his name was running for governor. All of our local candidates, a couple of endorsed candidates showed. Gina Top, who's running for the school director's 6th position as well. So it was a great turnout. Candidates were able to be engaged. Community came out, and it was a very successful fundraiser. So we're just happy to do that.
That's awesome. Thank you. Melissa Taylor.
Yeah, we have a monthly meeting with our King County elections team, and I wanted to put 2 important dates in the, same date in some ways, but August 4th is the deadline for updated voter pamphlet statements. It's a pretty tight turnaround after the primary. But those statements can be updated now for everyone, whether they're in a primary or not. And if the updates go in, they'll be there for the general. If somebody updates a statement but not a photo, or a photo but not a statement, the ones previously submitted will be used if they don't receive anything. And then August 4th is also the special filing deadline for the seats where no one ran. So for those of you, particularly in East and South King County, there are some special purpose districts that did not have anybody file. So there will be a special filing, and August 4th is the filing deadline for those to try and get folks to run and get them on the ballot for November.
Wonderful, thank you. Tally, how are we looking on our vote?
We have had 33 votes, 24 yes, 9 no. So it passes with 72.7%.
What was that? 72.7. 72.7. The dual endorsement of Erica Conway and Valerie Halloran for Renton City Council position 3 passes. So thank you very much. I will open the floor for endorsement motions, and I know Chair Weber of the 48th.
Yes. I thank you for recognizing me. All right, who's keeping time, and can you tell me, and can we please make sure Janelle Shimmerhorn can unmute her microphone? I will be rescinding what's left of my time to her, as she is the candidate. So should I just start talking?
Do you want so Carmen, can we start when Lisa starts, and then Carmen will interrupt when there are 30 seconds left?
Yeah, and I will rescind my the rest of my time when I'm done with my introduction.
You will concede your time over to the candidate. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to pause 1 second. Alex, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, point of order. Could the chair, could Lisa Weber make a motion as to what exactly we're endorsing?
Yep, exactly.
Yes.
We were just getting there.
I am recommending to also endorse Janelle Shimmerhorn for Washington School District position. I forget. I will say that King County has also already endorsed Lindsay somebody, yeah, for the same position. So I'm asking for a dual endorsement.
Is there a second?
This is Tara Van Nyman. I second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded for consideration the endorsement of Janelle Shimmerhorn for Lake Washington School Board 414 position. I don't have the position in front of me.
I bet Janelle does.
It's 5.
Position 5.
Oh, position 5.
It has
Thank you.
been moved and seconded. Lisa, would you like to speak in favor of your endorsement? And I understand you will be conceding your time to the candidate. So we will begin timing when you begin speaking. Thank you.
The 48th is asking for KC Dems to also endorse Janelle Schimmerhorn for Lake Washington School Board. We have two strong Democratic candidates that deserve KC Dem support so that voters can focus on the priorities and qualifications they want to have on the board. The 48th believes that Janelle is focused on priorities that are not already represented on the board and are needed to address the current and future needs of our students. Also, Janelle has the professional background that will enable her to effectively drive change through policy governance. And I will just add the 48th really liked that Janelle lived for 5 years in a country where she did not know the language when she arrived there. And we thought that was great experience. And I will now rescind the rest of my time to Janelle.
Thank you, Lisa, and everyone for this opportunity. A little about me. I'm a mom of a 9th grader at Redmond High School. And the things that I would prioritize in this role include equity and inclusion, mental health, and emerging technology. Regarding equity and inclusion, I'm grateful that to this community, I don't have to explain why that's important. What you may not know is how significant the gaps are in performance within our district and how long that has continued in terms of our vulnerable population. These issues are complicated and they take heart and science. And that science part is the part that I would like to bring to the role. I'm currently a Master's of Science student in data, inequality, and society. And that's a skill set that I can bring both to the board and to the district. Mental health crisis in our youth is exploding right now, and we need a board member who's focused on making sure that our policies and budget support both development and response in that area. And then emerging technology, AI is exploding, and our district doesn't currently have a policy or a vision around how that fits into our classroom, both from a learning tool standpoint, as well as mitigating the bias and risk that's associated with AI. I do have a strong background in organizational development and moving.
That is time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Do we have a speaker against the dual endorsement of Janelle Schimmerhorn for Lake Washington School District 414 position 5? Are there any speakers against the nomination to endorse Janelle Schimmerhorn, dual endorsement? Are there any speakers against? Seeing none, we will move this to vote. Just like our last vote, please find your tally committee member and please direct message them yes or no. Yes to dual endorse Janelle Schimmerhorn for Lake Washington School Board Director in 414 position 5. And if you have any questions, please use your raised hand. If anyone is having trouble, use your raised hand. We will collect your answers. Please get your vote into your tally committee member. And while we're waiting, I will open it up to any other festival or event in a legislative district that we all should know about. Anne Udaloy.
Hi,
Carrie, this isn't exactly a festival, but what I'd like to do is take a minute and speak to the special challenges of the Snohomish County Sheriff's race with your permission.
You have my permission. Thank you.
Thank you. There are some really special issues here. I've been out canvassing and I'm talking with people who don't want a sign for Susanna Johnson in their yard, not because they're afraid of what a sheriff's deputy will do, but because they're honestly afraid of what the Proud Boys will do to destroy their home and their property and threaten them with physical violence. And it's a real threat. I'm talking with people who are going, yeah, I wouldn't call the sheriff's office because God help us if they come to my house. I have a developmentally disabled child and God help us if the sheriff come here because I don't know which deputy I'm going to get. We are serious when we say that this sheriff is recruiting from the Proud Boys. However, good news. Most of the canvassing, most of the votes are in places like Edmonds and Linwood and Montlake Terrace and places that are very accessible to King County. And we're being incredibly careful with lists. So the doors will be very safe for all of our canvassers. These are, you know, for many of you, it's within 15 minutes of home. I can get you out talking to voters, getting the word out and explaining to people that even though the sheriff doesn't actually serve the city of Edmonds, the voters of the city of Edmonds pay the taxes that support the sheriff's office. And so that's their ethics on the line right there. The other thing I wanted to point out is many of us were very active trying our best to support the Black Lives Matter movement and also learning through that time that in fact Black lives don't matter in a lot of our community. This is one of those elections where we get to put ourselves out because we cannot be asking our colleagues of color to go out canvassing in this one. It's dangerous. So those of us who have the privilege of being, you know, I'm a little old white lady, this is my canvas. In addition, if you support women for offices, my goodness, you cannot find a more qualified, competent, or effective leader. If you support members of the LGBTQ community running for office, this is a candidate you need to support because we know when that shoe's going to drop. We know when that negative campaigning is going to hit. It's going to be in October. So if you want to be supporting LGBTQ candidates, please join us now. We need donations. We have phone banking. We have canvassing. There are postcards going out. We can use help with anything. There are also little things you can do on your computer from home, like Google Zoom through the streets and find areas where there are no trespassing signs. There's all kinds of things that you can do to engage with this campaign and make your voice heard in a place where it really matters. For our communities of color who are actually policed by the sheriff's department, there could not be a more important contest in our state right now this year. So please.
And if folks, I know we've got Susanna Johnson's campaign link, but for action, would you be a good conduit for folks to?
Please contact me directly. Do you guys have your, can you put my email in the chat?
Absolutely.
And I can connect people in at whatever level they're willing to participate. We definitely need donations to the campaign. That fundraiser this weekend with Mark Lamb, that's a national campaign coming. Oh, point of information, Snohomish County GOP has been taken over by Robert Sutherland. He got defeated for the legislative district in LD 39, and he responded by running his friends for PCOs, and they've taken over the Snohomish County GOP. The top of ticket candidate for Snohomish County GOP for this election is Adam Fortney. Re-election of Adam Fortney, followed by Robert Sutherland for auditor, followed by their candidate for county executive. That's how they're rolling.
Thank you. I'm putting this in chat right now. And there we go. Thank you, Anne. I appreciate you. Julie, I see your hand raised.
I would like to extend the invitation to the 30th annual barbecue. It's going to be on August 12th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Town Square Park in Federal Way. We'd love for you to come share great food and conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie, could you put details, if you can send them to me and I'll pop them into chat?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tally, how are we on the vote?
So I do have a total. It's a squeaker. We have 28 votes. 28 people participated. There are 16 yes votes. There are 8 no votes, and there are 4 abstentions. And that's 66.7%.
So the motion carries.
There are several people who haven't voted, but I think they've dropped. They voted earlier. I think they've dropped from the meeting from what I can tell.
Okay, we have 47 participants. So from our tally,
oh, I just got in one. Let me see.
Please get your votes in.
Okay, so that put us over. So we're at 68% now. 17 yes, 18 no, 4 abstentions.
Great. So we have a dual endorsement for Janelle Schermerhorn and Lindsay Yoakum for School Board Director for 414, Lake Washington School Board Director 414, position 5. So congratulations, Janelle. You have a dual endorsement with the King County Democrats. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Melissa Taylor.
Please get those numbers in the chat.
Yes, thank you.
Chris Porter, I see your hand raised.
Are we good of the order or no?
I'm going to ask for any other nominations from the floor on candidates. We're going to go to our PCO committee chair for the report and then go to the order.
Thank you.
Are there any other nominations? The floor is open for nomination motions. Are there any other nominations from the floor regarding candidates for the King County Democrats endorsement? Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your commitment and your vote and your engagement. We now are to tonight, our PCO committee chair, Alexander Erickson, is going to give a committee report, talk about what we're doing post-primary, talk about what we're doing pre-primary. I'm going to, if we can highlight Alex, and he will give his committee report. Thank you.
Yeah, so hi, everyone. We have been hard at work with our essentially our test flight for off-year primary events. We've so far held 3 events, 2 in North Seattle and then 1 in Bothell. And we have events this upcoming weekend planned in SeaTac and Burien. We recognize that these are fairly limited in their scope, but we have very limited capacity to turn around from the June endorsement meeting to now. And so we're doing the best we can with what we got. But the good news is we are planning a much more thorough tour for the general election. We are currently in the process, we have reached out to our congressional candidates as well as our statewide elected officials, or not congressional candidates, our congressional representatives and our statewide officials for their calendars. So we are currently in the process of getting a better understanding of when and where our congressionals will be able to help us and where our statewide officials will be able to help us, so that as we plan, as we create our plan for our GOTV tour, we are bringing in the biggest guns we can to help us turn out the vote for the general election. Currently, we are looking at up to 16 events across the county. And I believe that there are only 2 or 3 LDs where there's a race there's no race that we have endorsed in their LD that we're having an event for. However, we are doing our best to make sure we hit every LD as best we can. And to that end, what we are asking for each LD to do is to let us know which races you believe will be the closest in your LD. We don't want to say that any one endorsed person is more or less important than the others, but what we do want to do is we want to make sure that when we're deploying our resources and doing these events, that we're doing them in places where we think that the margins are going to be less than 10% for the candidate, and that the races are going to be really tight. So we're just asking, we'll obviously get some idea of what that looks like after the primary, but we're also asking the LDs to tell us where they think they're going to have squeaker races, so that when we're planning events, we can make sure that we're putting down events in those jurisdictions. It's going to be a long process to plan out these events for October and November, because we're involving a lot of people in this process, but we're starting at the top and we're working our way down. And our goal is that by starting so early with our high level planning, that we will have information to LDs by mid-August about where we think that we will be able to have events in your area, so that we can really begin to drill down and start promoting them early and often, but also making sure that all the candidates know it's on their calendar. Just really making sure everyone's on the same page, so that we can get as many people out to these events and get these people out to vote, to show them that the King County endorsement means something, and it means that we will be there to support you and turn out volunteers for your effort. So yeah. Does anyone have any questions about our efforts?
And I would like to emphasize that this is in partnership with the legislative districts. When we sit down and strategize, we are including the chair, PCO committee member, the candidate, their campaigns. This is not the county in isolation by any means. We are saying, as King County reps in your legislative district, please be a part of these meetings as well. This is completely transparent and collective in partnership. So if anyone has any questions, we would love to take them. We, more importantly, would love to put a plug in to volunteer with us. And if you're unable to volunteer, please ask for volunteers when you give your King County Democrat report to your legislative district at the next general meeting. It's really important. Alexander, thank you. I don't see any questions, but we will please put your information in chat, Alex, and that way if there are questions at a meeting, people know who to reach. And with that, we are at good of the order. And if you can use your raised hand, we will call on you for good of the order. Chris Porter.
Thank you. I have a regret about missing last month's meeting slightly, because my son was graduating from high school. So I attended only the first couple of meetings part of the meeting when we discussed the code of conduct. I can tell you right now, I am increasingly anxious and disheartened about what's going on in our party at the county level. I've had to sit and listen to people rationalize how a Democrat who endorses a Republican sort of, well, it wasn't that he or she was or wasn't, they didn't meet to or what have you. And that somehow we have nuanced the argument that it is okay. Tonight, my other regret was that had I been in attendance when Valerie O'Halloran's nomination came up, I would have argued vociferously against it, but I was at my son's graduation, not based on any of the things that were saying, but personal interaction with her when she was invited to POCAN, People of Color Against AIDS Network in Renton, where her office resides and she has jurisdiction over it. And I had never felt so othered and bothered by the language that she used, which is not inclusive. We resoundingly added a dual endorsement of another candidate, but we're split almost in whether or not to rescind hers. And I think that speaks volumes on whether or not we should have done this. I just am jumping out of my skin that we keep falling back on rationale on how we can justify a Democrat who supports a Republican. And I want to say that the reason I want to make this point is every time we do that, we are giving voice to something we shouldn't be. It takes oxygen and energy away from people who look like me, people who are like me, that somehow in this party, there's room for this. There wouldn't be on the other side. I just don't know how much I can tolerate if we keep falling back on our rules and bylaws as means to justify Democrats or other Republicans that are not with us on the core things that we believe in, that are not about electing good Democrats. That is what's freaking me out. And I'm getting really just disheartened by the tone of what's going on in this party, that we keep finding ways to rationalize. The chair of our endorsement isn't saying, well, let's be open to the arguments that we could have gotten this wrong, or that there's room for argument that maybe we could do this. It was hard and fast. You had your time. This is the argument. We stand by her endorsement. And it wasn't that she sat with Republicans and endorsed them. It's just that this is the endorsement that we have. I'm just freaking out. And I'm hoping somehow we can turn this around, because again, if we keep providing this oxygen, as I look at what's happening around the state, around the country, court rulings, that party is taking oxygen away from me, people who look like me, people who are like me, and giving it away. We cannot do that in this party, and we have to stop doing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. I'm going to take a point of personal privilege and invite Chris's statement into all of our discussions, into our endorsement committee, into meetings, into how information that as chair I can disseminate into this body that is so important. It is not a spectator sport right now as Democrats. I think exactly what Chris says. I'm asking you to get involved. I'm saying, if you have this passion, please join us, join a committee, even if it's 2 to 4 hours. It is important that it is not what I heard from Chris is otherism, that we are consistently having this discussion over and over in a productive way, proactively with each other, and volunteering that we understand King County is not a monolith, but it's the values, it's the candidate, it is how we are recruiting, what we are saying, who we are grabbing to represent us in local government that makes the decisions. And so I would like to say, please get involved. If you have a passion or you know someone who's passionate, the only way that we are going to provide progressive change is by doing. And I appreciate Chris bringing this. I want to bring this to all of us to really think about how we are contributing, how we're using our voice, and to get involved with the Democrats, with the legislative district, to have that ear of candidates and elected officials, that this is not equivalation. It is standing up for our values and moving them forward in a very succinct, assertive way. Thank you, Chris. That is my point of privilege to your good of the order. I will open the floor for anyone else who has good of the order as well. Melissa Taylor.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have a more recent update from Mason, but I know that he is working on finalizing a bounce party for next Friday. So for those of you who have been before, frequently our Tuesday night results are not exactly what we might hope, but by Friday, the results have bounced back and we're all a lot happier. Plus we've had a chance to sleep. So we started doing a bounce party on the Friday after the election several years ago, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to continue it this year. But please mark off your calendar for Friday evening. What is that, August 4th.
August 4th. There will be 2 locations from my understanding. There for sure will be one in at Northwest Peaks, our historical bounce party gathering, and there will be one north because with traffic and the disbursement, that's what we're working on. So please be on the lookout, but we all will be together in celebratory in some fashion to all get together as we run this race. So thank you, Melissa.
Yep.
Anyone else with good of the order for tonight? Last call. And seeing none, I will enter. Oh, you see Tim Burns, you got in right. Tim.
Madam Chair, I was waiting for anybody else to come in, but I vote to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Carmen Rivera, second.
All those in favor? Say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
That doesn't sound very enthusiastic. All those opposed. The ayes carry it. We are adjourned for tonight, and thank you for a productive, amazing meeting. I